Greetings and welcome to Roman of the Empire. I'm Roman. Today we are going to discuss more things. In part one of our three-part broadcast, we discussed the 1938 novella, Who Goes There? And today we are going to discuss the 1951 film inspired by that novella, The Thing from Another World, produced by Howard Hawks. So what we discussed in part one was the one basic similarity in the three films. Part three will be 1982's The Thing from John Carpenter, is that all of them have an alien ship in the ice with an alien, and ultimately that alien comes back to camp in one form or another. So 1938 novella, 1982 film are very similar in most respects. 82 film has more expansion. The 1951 film, that is really where the similarities end. It's got a much larger cast, most of which are unimportant. They're just kind of the random guys doing stuff in the background. The important people in this film are Captain Patrick Henry. He's a pilot, and you meet his crew. They're all fairly interchangeable. I know it sounds terrible, but they kind of are. Dr. Arthur Carrington, who is the lead researcher at Polar Expedition 6 at the North Pole, and he's kind of an ass, really, is Dr. Carrington. His assistant, Nikki Nicholson, who also has a subtle love interest with Captain Henry. That was probably important to plot device in the 50s. Now, would that really work? I don't know. But anyway. Ned Scotty Scott, he's a reporter. We'll talk about him in a second. And then the Thing itself, played by James Arness of Gunsmoke fame back in the day. So the premise where we start here is in Anchorage, Ned Scotty Scott, the journalist, is looking for a story. He's hanging out at the Air Force Officers Club. Why he's looking for a story in Anchorage is beyond me, but there he is. So he's talking to Pat Henry. He's like, "Hey, Pat, have you heard anything? Is anything going on?" And he's like, "No, man, it's Alaska." So Captain Henry's boss, General Fogarty, orders he and his crew to go to Polar Expedition 6 at the request of Dr. Carrington, as a strange aircraft has crashed nearby. Okay, well, it's something to do. Of course, Ned Scotty Scott, the reporter, hears this. He's like, "Can I come along?" And oddly, Captain Henry's like, "Yeah, come on, Scotty, come on this probably classified mission to the North Pole. What could possibly go wrong? Seems like a great idea." This is the big plot confusion for me. I don't know why he's there, but it was a different era, so who knows. Anyway, so Captain Henry, his crew, Scotty, fly up to Polar Expedition 6. They pick a bunch more people up, including Nikki Nicholson, Carrington's assistant. And they all fly out to the site where the strange aircraft has crashed. So what they discover, of course, is a big item under the ice. And they're like, "Gosh, what could that possibly be?" And this is where you do get the iconic image. So they spread out around it, holding flags, trying to measure out shape and size. And lo and behold, it's the 1950s, so it's a flying saucer. Cool. In the 1938 version, they did this. In the 1951 version, they do this. And in the 1982 version, the Norwegians do this. They all try to thaw the aircraft out using thermite. Again, this doesn't seem like a particularly good idea to me. You don't know what you're dealing with. And ultimately, they damage or destroy the items. So, but again, if you don't do any of this, then you don't have a story. So it's fine. But what they do get is a body in the ice. Cool. So they do speculate he's a big, ugly feller. And so they carve out the ice. And of course, what do you do when you carve an alien body out of the ice? You bring it back to the base. So you get it back to the base. They put it in storage, and of course it skeeves out the airmen who are working there. Oh, also of note, Scotty wants to report this right now. He's like, I got to report this. I've got to report this. And Captain Henry's like, no, we should probably get authorization for that. Now he wants to get authorization, and that's fine. So Scotty's on hold, but he wants to tell a story. So they get the frozen critter back to the base. It's in a storage room, and of course you have to assign a watch to it. This sounds like familiar territory. It's because it is. These are elements that are familiar but not the same to the 1938 novelization. So it's in storage. They got the watch on it. The watch is like, I really don't like that thing looking at me through the ice. So he gets freaked out, covers it up with a blanket. It's an electric blanket. He doesn't realize that, and not surprisingly, it thaws out the thing. He wakes up, he's pissed off, he breaks out of the compound, out into the storm. The camp dogs attack him. He kills a couple of the dogs rip off an arm, he blunders off into the storm. So Dr. Carrington and his team have the arm, and they study the arm. And they discover it's a plant-based life versus animal. Carrington makes an assumption here that because of this, it must be more intelligent, because as a plant, it's not going to be bogged down with emotion and all that carries with it. So it can just be a pure logical plant being. It's a bit of a leap. It's the 1950s. He's been isolated for a while. I don't know. So what happens? The creature is out there and breaks into the greenhouse, and they discover that the Carrington discovers the greenhouse has been broken. And when he does this, he discovers another sled dog, like the ones outside. All of these have been drained of blood. So it's a carnivorous plant, unlike a Venus flytrap, except it doesn't look like a Venus flytrap. It looks more like Frankenstein. So he's studying the arm. He finds some seed pods in the arm. And of course, why would you not grow the seed pods using your blood plasma supply at the base? That just seems silly. So he does that. And so now that the creature comes back, it causes some mischief, kills a couple of guys, injures another. They need the blood. They realize Carrington's using it to grow his little alien buddies. They're not real happy with him at this point. He basically loses all authority at the base. So creature returns to the greenhouse. They're there. They douse it with gas, set it ablaze. It runs off into the storm and escapes again. So the creature's out there. They need everybody back in a central location. They bring everybody back into the main compound, only to find that the creature has sabotaged the furnaces. So it's getting cold for the human folk. They go to the generator room, which is the last warm place, apparently. And they devise a plan while they're there to create an electric floor using these metal grates. So they lure the creature into the hallway, they turn on the grates, and they can cook up the creature. I think they use the term cook it up like a carrot, maybe a bean. You get the idea. And so Carrington is, of course, opposed to this because he thinks it's this superior form of life. And you can't blame him too much. He's a scientist. These are his motivations. These are not the motivations of the people who are just trying to survive. But they get the creature in there, they lure it in. Carrington breaks out of the group and he's trying to reason with it, surely with your superior intellect, and it kills Carrington. And then they cook the creature. And that's basically it. Then Captain Henry tells Scotty he can report what's going on. And he has a kind of a semi-lengthy thing that he goes through. And the final line is the interesting part of it. Tell the world, tell this to everyone, wherever they are. Watch the skies everywhere. Keep looking. keep watching the skies. This harkens back at least to a little bit of the end of the novella where they've defeated the creature and then they're looking up wondering, are there more? What is interesting about this film, the good aspects of it, the filming of it is good. I mean, it is kind of that sci-fi horror genre, and it does follow the same tropes. You find a creature, creature bad, creature kill, you kill creature. That's basically the plot. But for that type of film, it's not bad. As a direct connection to who goes there, it's not great. But on its own, it's not bad. The dialogue is good. It's snappy. They used a different technique in this, which was new, where you don't have, I say my line, you say your line. You have more overlapping conversational dialogue, which is more realistic, which was groundbreaking at the time. What you also get with this is the film is a not too hidden metaphor for the fear of communism. Watch everywhere. Look, tell everyone. So, which is at the time, and actually not, it's still not that far removed. It worked, and it worked well. So that is the discussion of this film. We'll wrap this up on number 3, and we can see the glaring differences between this film and the 1982 film from John Carpenter, which is superior in every aspect, but that's not surprising. It's a more modern film, although some modern films just absolutely suck. The John Carpenter 1982 version of The Thing most certainly does not. And it also is a better reflection of the novella than this film, which again was basically Frankenstein at the North Pole. But so tell me what you think. Tell me what you liked about this movie or didn't like, and we will talk about that. So I am Roman of the Empire, signing off. Be kind.